Welcome to your Science News Bulletin. We're bringing you the latest breakthroughs from across the scientific world.
All right, let's kick things off with three huge developments in the world of health and medicine.
First up, we've got something pretty incredible from UC Riverside. Researchers there have created an innovative new gel to help heal chronic diabetic wounds. And this is a big deal because these are the kinds of injuries that often just refuse to heal and can sometimes lead to limb loss. So what's the core problem they're tackling? Well, as the lead researcher explains, it all comes down to a lack of a steady, consistent oxygen supply. The technical term for it is hypoxia. You see, this lack of oxygen basically traps the wound in a constant state of inflammation, so it never gets a chance to heal properly. To fight this, the new gel, which is actually battery-powered, acts like a tiny little electrochemical factory. It literally splits water molecules to pump a steady stream of oxygen right down into the deepest parts of the wound. And the results so far? They're amazing. In animal trials, the gel managed to heal wounds that would have otherwise been fatal, and it did it in just 23 days. This offers some serious new hope for reducing amputations in people. Next up in health news, a major study is completely changing the game for early Alzheimer's diagnosis. It's established a new blood test that can detect the disease with really high accuracy. We're talking 94.5% accuracy. It works by measuring how fast a specific protein, called p-tau217, is building up in the blood. Now, this is a massive step forward compared to the current gold standards. Things like incredibly expensive PET scans or invasive spinal taps. A simple blood test like this is just so much more accessible for widespread early screening. But here's what's maybe even more incredible. Using this data, scientists have built statistical models that can actually predict the likely onset of cognitive symptoms 3 to 4 years before they even start. That's a huge heads up. And to wrap up our health segment, let's talk about pecans. A huge scientific review looking at over 20 years of research has just confirmed the fantastic heart health benefits of these nuts. So what did they find? Well, regularly eating pecans significantly improves key markers for heart health. It brings down your total cholesterol, and maybe more importantly, it reduces that bad LDL cholesterol, the stuff that's known to clog up arteries. All right, now let's journey way back in time. We've got two fascinating discoveries from the age of the dinosaurs. Get ready for this one. Scientists in China have unearthed a 125-million-year-old dinosaur that has a feature they have never, ever seen before in the fossil record. The fossil, which they've named Holongdongi, is so unbelievably well preserved that you can still see individual skin cells under a microscope. But the real surprise is its armor. It's not like the solid, bony plates you'd see on other armored dinosaurs. Nope, these spikes actually grew from the skin, and they were completely hollow. So what were these strange spikes for? Researchers think they could have served a few different purposes, maybe as a defense against predators like porcupine quills, or perhaps to help control body temperature, or even to sense movement. Next up, new research reveals how the iconic Triceratops might have kept a cool head, and I mean that literally. By using CT scans on fossil skulls, scientists found that the dinosaur's giant snout was basically a heavy-duty, built-in air conditioner. It used these complex, scroll-like structures inside its nose called respiratory turbinates. This whole intricate system worked just like a car's radiator. Hot blood would flow into this complex nasal network. The air it breathed would cool the blood down, and then that cooler blood would get sent to the brain. A really clever adaptation to keep its large brain from overheating. Hey, if you're finding this bulletin informative, please take just a second to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us bring you more of these updates. For our final segment, let's take a look at our changing planet with two important findings from environmental science. A study up in northern Norway has shown that Arctic peatlands that have been drained for farmland, which makes them major sources of greenhouse gases, can actually be turned back into powerful carbon sinks. And you know what? The solution is surprisingly simple. Just by raising the groundwater level to about 25 to 50 centimeters below the surface, they dramatically cut emissions and saw the land start absorbing more CO2 than it was releasing. And finally, a new study has a warning that might hit close to home for pet owners. It seems some of the most popular oral flea and tick medications could be having some serious, unintended consequences for the environment.
The research found that the active chemicals in these meds, a group of pesticides called isoxazolines, are passing through pets and into their waste. The problem is, these toxic residues stick around in the environment for weeks, and they pose a huge threat to vital dung-feeding insects like beetles, which are absolutely critical for nutrient cycling and keeping our soil healthy.
That concludes this Science News Bulletin. Another update will follow in 24 hours.